and really try to show off what the community's done. So as you guys can see, we've kind of improved our setup. So actually, oops, I actually forgot to do the graphics. Sorry, 1 second. I'm supposed to play this at the beginning of every time. So let's start again. Okay, now that's an introduction. So once again, welcome to Hummingbot Live, our weekly show where we run bots and talk about all the contributions that the Hummingbot community has made. So this week, we want to have something pretty special, which is we're going to go over like some of the bounties hackathons that we've done. 1 second, let me just check to see that I'm actually streaming here. I think I am, but if I'm gonna just ask my team to let me know if I'm not. Okay. All right. So I believe I'm live right now. It does look like there's 2 people watching. I see some. Oh yeah, I see some people in the chat. Great. So, so today I want to go over a little presentation I made about some of the previous bounties we've done, as well as looking forward to some of the future ones. And then we just finished our first kind of bounty with OpenDeFi and Gitcoin. So I wanted to show off the winning contribution for that bounty. So why don't we get started? Okay, 1 sec. Let me share my screen. Okay. All right. So bounties and hackathons at Hummingbot. So first of all, we're going to be running some bots today. And important disclaimer: it's really only for educational purposes only. So please, yeah, just consult your lawyers and financial advisors if you're actually going to run the bots, and everything is really for demo purposes. So Hummingbot has really kind of grown into a pretty large open source project at this point. You know, when we started a couple years ago, we only had connectors to Binance and one 0x exchange. But over the past couple of years, we've started to add connectors to both centralized and decentralized exchanges. And today, we feel like we're in a good position to kind of really serve the industry because there's so many decentralized exchanges coming online, and there continues to be more new products in crypto, options, futures, swaps, all kinds of crazy new financial derivatives on the blockchain. And each of these new products has a different liquidity profile. And so, and the trading is different, how settlement occurs is different. And so it's something we have to try to do. So because of that, I think, sorry, 1 second. It looks like my video is not very great here. Let me try to improve my video somehow. Okay, let's try this. Okay, I'm gonna bump up the video resolution on this thing, and see if we can do. Okay, let's see. I still don't think the screen is very high resolution. 1 second. Yeah. Okay. Well, first time trying a new platform, so there's some hiccups. But please, please put in the chat if you guys can't see the screen. My face is not important, but I'm going to be showing some bots and everything, so it will be important for people to see what's happening on my screen. So let's see. Okay. So the overall at Hummingbot, we I'm gonna try to show you my screen again. 1 second. Okay. Yeah, the resolution here doesn't seem to be great. It's funny. Let's see. Oh, all right. Well, can't do much about it now. We'll try to fix it next time. But apologies for the lack of resolution on the the screen. This is going to make it hard to see what's happening when I run the bot, but I'm not sure quite how to fix it, so let's just keep going. So yeah, but I think all the connectors we've built is really comes from the community. And today, Hummingbot is both the the open source project where we've had 15,000 people in our Discord community running and building bots, as well as a very decentralized set of people who are contributing into the project. This includes our team, which is pretty spread out all over the world, as well as a lot of the contributors in the community. So we've had at least half of these contributors have been outside of our organization, from exchanges, from blockchain projects, and from all of you guys out there. And then in addition, with Hummingbot Miner, we've really seen kind of the growth of a decentralized market making army. We've had over 20 projects come to us for liquidity, and our users, our miners, have filled almost $2 billion of orders since inception. So I think a lot of the successes we've had as an organization is really from the community. And so that's why, now that we're getting bigger, and we've started to serve and build connectors for various projects. So in the past, we've built, kind of like connectors for 0x, Balancer, Terra, Celo, Perpetual Protocol, and KuCoin. Going forward, now we're seeing incredible level of demand from both decentralized and centralized exchanges for both Hummingbot connectors, as well as strategies that are customized to the idiosyncrasies of every protocol and every exchange. So, for instance, there's work to upgrade the 0x connectors to 0x Matcha. Celo has introduced a new AMM on their exchange called UberSwap that we plan to support. Terra, we have the Terra connector to the core blockchain, but in addition, there's other dexes like Mirror on Terra that we want to support. And finally, we have a number of new partners like Binance, 0x, Algorand, Avalanche, and others who are partners with Hummingbot and want to sponsor bounties to basically have their custom connectors and their custom strategies. So to be perfectly honest, I think that while our engineering team could serve maybe a small subset of one or two of these guys, it's impossible for us to serve everyone. And so that's why we've kind of made a choice internally to really focus on the architecture of Hummingbot. We're still going to fix bugs, kind of like do things like generalize certain pieces of the architecture. But we wanted to really encourage and allow the community of users out there, of developers, to really basically earn these bounties by building and maintaining these different things. So that's why the first experiment we started with was the Open DeFi Hackathon. We started small because we know that the Hummingbot code base is still very much a project that's written by us. And we have started to add documentation that shows people how to write their own connectors and their own strategies, but it's pretty nascent. So we wanted to start small and just see if our community would be able to write strategies. So basically, we worked with Gitcoin during the Open DeFi Hackathon to launch a $2,000 bounty, and we asked people to develop a Hummingbot strategy. So honestly, we were blown away by the reception. Given how small the bounty was, we really didn't expect people to come up with anything, incredible. We thought that maybe they would create a strategy that kind of like just sells a block of trades, or does something like scans the order book, or does something very simple. But what we ended up with was actually this. So the winner submission out of, I think we had 3 or 4 people who actually submitted strategies, was this a rune oscillator strategy that one of our users submitted. So I'm going to post the GitHub link in the chat right here, because I know it's probably hard to see. So I think that hopefully you guys can kind of like take a look at this strategy. I know that my video is extremely low resolution right now for some reason. That is very hard to see. Let me try to fix this because I don't. There's no way that this is, the actual resolution I'm seeing here. So 1 second while I try to fix the resolution on my screen. Okay. All right, let's try this. Okay, that seems to be better. Okay, I think that seems to be better. I can actually read the words on the screen now. It still seems pretty blurry for some reason. Yeah, I really wish I knew what was going on. Actually, it looks like, yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, hopefully, yeah. Let me move it here. Does that make a difference? That does not make a difference. Okay. All right. Well, hopefully that's better, but we'll see how it goes. But as I was saying, we were really impressed by this submission because the user not just created, it's a very simple strategy. The user added a indicator called the Arun oscillator, and he also kind of wrote this very, very detailed description of how that indicator works and how this strategy uses the indicator to adjust spreads as the market trends go either up or down. So I encourage you to read this in detail because this contributor spent a lot of time actually both describing it, but also even when you run it, I'm not sure you see this, but the status command actually shows both the indicators and also the calculations of how they're being used to adjust the spreads. So you can actually walk through the math and understand for yourself intuitively what the strategy is doing. So so let's go ahead and start the strategy and see how it works live. So I actually have the strategy running over here. So let's see what it's doing. So as you can see, it's running live over here, and it's kind of like right now the indicator up indicator value is 617, and the down indicator value is 100. So I believe that it's saying that the market is at a downturn, and that's kind of why it's kind of like adjusting the spreads based on that. So so let's go ahead and actually kind of like start the bot again, and then I'll show you guys from the very get-go how this strategy works. So one thing I've done here as an FYI, I have pulled this person's branch. So this pull request is currently in our GitHub. The reason it's open is because we're currently in the middle of creating a generalized indicator class that any strategy can import. And so the way that this developer, he basically modified the pure market maker strategy to create a new strategy. So what we plan to do is to, instead of merging this as is, we plan to kind of like create an indicator class and add this Arun indicator to that class so that any strategy can do this. But overall, I think indicators are something that is sorely needed in Hummingbot, and so now that we're starting to kind of like collect some data in memory, basically mostly price and volume data, we can expose that to this indicator class, and then the indicator class would allow developers to import that and use that to adjust their strategy in various ways. So we'll be announcing more news of that later on. But for now, I think this Arun indicator kind of strategy, also a strategy, could be an interesting one for users to try. So so what I've done here is basically I've pulled this person's branch, the fork of Hummingbot, where he wrote the code, and then I've also then compiled. I've installed and I've compiled as well in order to basically build the code from source. Afterwards, and then you can just run Hummingbot by running the command bin/hummingbot.py, which is how you would start the bot if you've installed from source. And then after that, it's the same as it would be if you started either with a Docker container or from the binary installer. So what I've done here already is I've a test account from Binance that we're using. So I believe there's like some funds on it right now. And then so what we're going to do is we're going to start a bot and run it on using this Arun oscillator strategy that the hackathon winner created. So to do that, it's always a start command in Hummingbot. And so the question for the strategy is, so now you can pick from a number of different strategies that we have available, and the Arun_oscillator is the one that this user is at. So for the choice of exchange, I'll pick Binance. If you guys have any suggested trading pairs you wanted me to run, please let me know. I think let's see. Why don't we, why don't we do something, something different here? Let's try something like Doge. What else do I have? Yeah, maybe some Doge USDT. Let's do that. So to try to make things a little interesting. So so the two spread parameters in this strategy are the minimum and maximum spread. And so essentially what this strategy will do is, based on the market trend, it will kind of like oscillate the spread between the minimum and the maximum spread. So let's do 0.1 for the minimum spread and then 0.9 for the maximum spread, so that basically the bot's going to kind of like, on average be around 0.5% spread in this market. So the next one is the number of periods used to calculate the indicator. So the smaller number of periods, the more volatile this oscillator is. The indicator is the more larger one is larger. So let's try something small because we want to try to see some activity running the bot. So I'll pick 10 periods, and then instead of 1 minute periods, I'll pick something very fast, like 10-second periods. And then so let's cancel orders every 15 seconds as usual. And then I'll like add some Doge per order, and then save the configuration file. I'm also going to just make some changes here to make it a little bit more exciting, like removing the filled order delay, and then I'm also going to let's see what I should do. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I think this is good. So let's start the bot here, and see what's going to happen when we run this on the Doge USDT pair. So here's the Doge USDT pair. Looks like it's been pretty sideways for the past few hours, but yeah. So we'll see. Let's see. So let's start the bot, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so let's see. So created spreads on here. On you can see the ask and the bid spread here. It's creating them again. And so if we want status in the bot, we can see that right now it's starting to calculate kind of like these Arun up and down indicators. So there's 3 indicators calculating: the up, the down, and this oscillator. So as it's calculating, let's take a look at what this oscillator, Arun oscillator kind of strategy actually does. So the developer was kind enough to put a link in this GitHub issue, and so there's an article here in Investopedia that talks about how this works. And essentially, what it's doing is kind of creating two lines on the chart. An up line that looks at the recent uptrend, and also another down indicator, which is this down. Overall, it's a very simple indicator, and so typically, what you want to do is when the down indicator is very high, it indicates a bearish trend, and when the up indicator is very high, it indicates a bullish trend. And so you probably want to kind of like take that into account as you're using the strategy. So right now, the bot's going to wait a total of 10 periods, when each period is 10 seconds each. And then after that, it will have enough data to then kind of use this indicator to adjust the spreads. So let's see how many periods it has done so far. 10 periods. So let's see, was that, yeah. So then, yeah, it should be adjusting the spreads. So you can see that right now, because the up is it thinks there's an uptrend in the market. It's kind of like it's basically adjusted the spreads, so that the bid is higher and the up is lower. So basically, you can see how it's adjusting here, but essentially it's kind of like it's basically using the uptrend, the cross trend, and then in between this. So I will say, however, that when I looked at this strategy as a user, I'm actually not sure if I would kind of do exactly what this strategy does. And the reason is because in the description of the strategy, it says that it will adjust the bid spread closer to minimum spread, the closer this down indicator gets to 100, and it will adjust the ask spread, kind of like it'll push the ask spread closer to minimum spread when the up indicator is approaching 100. To be honest, I think as a user, as a market maker, I think I would actually be the opposite here, because I think that if the Arun down indicator is going to 100, and if that indicates a bearish market, as in the price is going to go down, I think you actually want a larger bid spread. You actually want the spread between your buy orders and the mid price to be wider, not tighter. So if anyone disagrees, please put it in the chat. But I believe that I think this strategy might actually work better if this is flipped. If you're actually increasing the bid spread when the down indicator is pushing 100, and you're increasing the ask spread when the up indicator goes 100. So right now I think it's actually not doing that. So I think you see that right now the down is higher than the up, and so the bid spread is lower than the ask spread. But I would actually expect this to be the other way around. So let's so what do you do in this? What do you do in this case? So let's say that you're using Hummingbot, and it's doing something that you disagree with. You want to change out how the strategy behaves. So because Hummingbot is just Python, the entire code base is Python. And Python is actually a pretty easy to understand language. I think that most users who are somewhat technical can actually can basically modify Hummingbot to their own needs. So since I'm doing Hummingbot live, let me show you how to do that right now live. So this is awesome code. So I'm going to open up my code editor, and I'm going to go and edit. I'm going to edit the file that was used. So the way the Hummingbot works is that every strategy is basically its own folder in the Hummingbot /strategy folder. So this, you can also see this in GitHub as well. So if you go to GitHub and you kind of look at Hummingbot, you can see that there are in the Hummingbot directory there are there's folders for connectors for each connector used, as well as strategies. Each strategy is its own connector here. And so if you look at any of these strategies, there's this PYX file, and this PYX file is really where all the logic of the strategy is contained. Now, I know it seems pretty intimidating, but a lot of this is just kind of functions and and everything. So overall, I think those of you with a decent understanding of Python or programming in general can easily modify Hummingbot strategies. So as I mentioned, so let's try to modify this so that instead of making the bid spread smaller when the Arun indicator goes to 100, it actually increases the bid spread. And similarly, when the Arun indicator goes to 100, it should actually decrease. It should make the bid spread closer to the minimum spread, and vice versa. Basically, we're going to try to flip this logic over here. So to do that, so go to Hummingbot and then strategy and then Arun oscillator. And then once you're in here, you can open up this Arun oscillator.pyx file. Now, this user he created a couple other like helper files to assist this calculation. But I think so you may want to look at those. But I think the bulk of this logic is all self-contained in the main strategy file, which is Arun oscillator indicator.pyx. Actually, I'm sorry. I believe it's actually this one here. Yes, this one here. So Arun oscillator, Arun_oscillator.pyx is the actual strategy file itself. So this is pretty long, but basically at the very beginning, it's really just initializing a lot of variables, and then the real starting point is this is really this start function right here. Let's see. Yeah. So typically, it's really the CTick function here, where the strategy is really starting, and it's kind of doing the main logic. So you can see that this is really the core of most Hummingbot strategies over here, where it says it's it's basically creating a set of order proposals, and then adjusting those orders based on what's happening in the market itself. And so there's a bunch of modifiers that's adding, like adding order levels, changing this price, changing the size. And so what this is essentially we're going to adjust the spreads given these Arun oscillators. So basically, and here it is. So here's a function which is adjusting the spreads used by the bot based on the settings of this Arun oscillator, a class that has been created. And so you can see here that it says the ask increase is equal to the difference in spread times basically minus this up indicator. So I believe all we have to do is just change this up to down, and then this word down to up, and then it should work. So let's try that and see what happens. So it's down. I'll make that up. Apologies if my screen is visible. Okay, it looks like it's not quite readable, but we'll try to improve the resolution next time. So yeah, let me try to. There you go. Okay, that should be a bit better. Basically, all I did here was I just changed this word, from up to down, and then this from down up. And so basically now the ask increase, it'll now increase the ask using kind of like a if this down indicator is lower. So yeah. So yep. Okay. So yeah, let's try to see how that works. So if you modify code, then make sure to recompile after you change anything in code, because basically what this is doing is taking kind of code that's in Python and is compiling the C++ parts of it to C, so that it can be used with the rest of the code. After that, we can import the strategy again. So here's the strategy that we created, and then let's start the bot. And let's see now if it's behaving differently than it was before. Before we. So now, what the behavior I'm expecting is that when spreads kind of widen, let's say if there's a downtrend, the bid spread should widen, not tighten. Once again, I think it's going to wait for, let's see. It's going to wait for 10 periods of 10 seconds each to fill the buffer, price buffer, and then you then use that to make the calculations. Yep, and there you go. So now you can see, now that it's actually calculating again, and now I think it's acting more how I would expect, where if thanks to the downtrend, signaled by this 80 here, it's widening the bid spread, and so you can see here, even in the chart here, that the bid spread, the one in green, is much lower than it was before, and this is because of this this down also here. So, as you can see, getting this right is not just a set and forget it kind of thing. Market making is really about understanding both the market that you're trading, as well as understanding the algorithm that you're using. So the algorithm here is not just this kind of like a simple setting spreads, but it's using these indicators and it's adjusting the spreads in response to the indicators. But I think that, as a user, I would say my recommendation is that you really understand, if you're going to use a strategy, understand both kind of like how market making works, but also like how this root indicator, how it works as well, and then kind of like try to play around with the definitions, this oscillator values, and different things like that to see how it works, because a lot of this stuff is really about kind of like fine tuning what your bot is doing to kind of match the kind of like the pattern in the market. So what we find is that especially in range bound markets. So I think in the last few weeks, crypto has really been very range bound, and so I think market making in these range bound markets is really a great strategy, because as you can see for Dogecoin, if you were kind of like, if you had a bot that was kind of like at the right, oscillation kind of size, then you can really kind of pick up and, buy low, sell high, buy low, sell high during phases like this. I think a lot of this stuff is really there to protect you, because when the market kind of shoots up or down, that can really hurt you. And so the sooner that your bot can kind of like respond and move the side that's trending and make that side a lot wider, the more that you stay protected. So the market making, a lot of it is kind of like just making money, buying low, selling high, but avoiding these large moves in the market that might change your inventory position a lot and cause you to like give up a bunch of the gains you're making. So that's why a lot of users, one thing we always hear from users is they're like, I'm making money, but it's all of a sudden, boom, I lose a lot, and that's really because of trends. And so the reason we're adding indicators is to help users avoid those things. But overall, I think kind of like it's really understanding how these indicators work is also quite important. So with that, finally, let's see. Finally, have our because we're in this Doge, I think because we're in a very tight market here. This is Doge USDT. We're probably not going to fill any trades, but so that's why. But that's why overall, I would say if you're trading some of the more smaller tokens, especially, that's kind of why our customers are paying for liquidity, because the liquidity is not very good. I think, I think for these smaller tokens and trading pairs, I do think these spreads are pretty tight for the smaller pairs. So I would not use the spreads music here and just purely copy them for what you're doing, because for Doge, it's a very active, highly liquid pair right now, given everything's happening. And so that's why I'm not filling any trades. But I think if I were on a smaller token, some of our liquidity mining ones, I definitely would have seen some trades being filled using the spreads. So with that, I hope you guys found this useful. We're going to try to do this every Friday, run bots, and also kind of like going back to the theme of today. We're really impressed by what this user did in terms of strategy. It went way above and beyond, what we thought this small bounty would drive people to do. And so we're working with a bunch of other projects who are interested in putting a much larger bounties for users to build connectors and strategies customized for various blockchain exchanges and out there. So I think there's some work to do to kind of like to set that up, but look out for some announcements from us in the next few weeks with how you can earn some of these bounties by building on top of Hummingbot. And also, if you have a chance, we will be adding this root oscillator, kind of like indicator to our indicator class. And so please, but in the meantime, if you wanted to just try it out, you can actually already run this pull request in the GitHub repo. So with that, thank you very much for looking at us. If you want to follow us on Twitter, it's Hummingbot_IO on Twitter. And we'll be here next Friday again with another edition of Hummingbot Live. So thank you very much. And I do have let's see, it's the Hummingbot graphic. No. Okay. Okay. Anyway.